Welcome to this IELTS listening practice test, brought to you by Spinta, your partner in English exam success. This test simulates the real IELTS listening experience with authentic question types, timing, and difficulty levels you'll encounter on exam day. You'll hear the audio only once, just like in the actual test, so stay focused and keep your pencil ready. Remember to read the questions carefully during the preparation time, and transfer your answers accurately. This practice will help you build confidence, improve your listening skills, and familiarize yourself with the IELTS format.
Part 1. Now look at Part 1. You will hear a woman calling a catering company to make a booking. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Good morning, the Golden Spoon Catering, Leo speaking. How can I help?
Hello. I'm hoping to book a catering service for a party I'm organizing.
Certainly, we can help with that. Can I start with your surname, please?
Yes, it's Rowan.
Is that R-O-W-A-N?
That's it. My first name is Isabel.
Okay, Isabel. And what's the occasion for the party?
It's a 50th anniversary party for my parents.
How lovely. And how many people are you expecting?
There will be 25 of us in total.
25 guests. And do you have a date in mind?
Yes, it's on the 18th of August.
The 18th of August. Let me check. Yes, we are available on that date. And what kind of food were you thinking of? We do buffets, sit-down meals.
We'd like a sit-down meal. For the main course, I think the chicken option on your website looked good.
The roast chicken. An excellent choice, very popular. Now, our standard package includes all food, cutlery, and service. However, it does not include crockery.
So, just to clarify, I would need to provide the plates.
Yes, that's correct. You'd need to supply your own plates.
That's fine, we can do that. And are you able to cater for special dietary needs?
Absolutely. Just let us know in advance.
Great. I have one guest who is coeliac, so their meal needs to be gluten-free.
Not a problem. I'll make a note of that. One gluten-free meal. Now on the day, our staff will need some time to set up.
Of course. How early would they arrive?
They will get there 1 hour before your guests are due to eat to get everything prepared.
An hour beforehand. Perfect. How does the payment work?
We require a deposit to secure the booking. We would need that to be paid by this Friday to hold the date for you.
Okay, a deposit by Friday. And the rest of the money?
The final balance is then due on the day of the event itself. You can pay our head waiter directly.
Pay the balance on the day. That's great. Thank you, that's all very clear.
Part 2. Now look at Part 2. You will hear an organizer giving a talk to a group of volunteers for a river cleanup event. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Hi everyone, and thank you all so much for coming today. My name is Samantha, and I'm the coordinator of the Friends of the River group. It's wonderful to see so many volunteers ready to help clean up our beautiful river. Before we begin, I want to quickly run through the plan for the day and some important safety points. As you can see on the plan in your information pack, we are currently standing at the main entrance to the park. The first thing we need everyone to do is head over to the registration tent, which is the large white tent on your left, to sign in. Once you've done that, we'll be holding a compulsory 5-minute talk right here in the safety briefing area. Now let's talk about equipment. If you look at the plan, you'll see a small wooden building in the top left corner. That's the equipment shed. Next to it is the gloves and bags collection point, where you can pick up everything you'll need for the cleanup. At midday, we'll be stopping for a break. We have a designated lunch area set up for you, which is the large grassy space right next to the refreshment stand, where we'll be serving tea and coffee. As you collect rubbish, we'll be sorting it for recycling. The large containers for this are at the waste collection point, and next to that you'll see the recycling skips for glass and plastic. And one final, very important point on the map. We have a qualified first aider on site all day. Their station is clearly marked as the first aid tent, which is located near the main car park for easy access. Now, I want to be clear about our main objective today. Of course, we want to make the riverbanks look tidier, but our primary goal is to remove plastic waste to improve the local biodiversity. This waste is very harmful to fish and bird life. We will provide all the equipment you need, like litter pickers and bags. And as I mentioned, we'll be providing free hot drinks all day to keep you going. However, you will need to provide your own lunch. The most important thing we need you to bring, though, is a pair of good, strong boots or Wellingtons. So, sturdy footwear is essential, as the riverbank can be muddy and slippery. Safety is our absolute priority. The most critical rule is that if you find any dangerous items like broken glass or metal, please do not touch them. Mark the location and report any sharp objects you find to your team leader immediately. They have special equipment to deal with them. Finally, I know you'll all do a fantastic job today. If you'd like to get involved in future events, the best way is to sign up to our newsletter. There's a sheet at the registration tent where you can join the mailing list. That way, you'll be the first to hear about our next cleanup day. Right, let's get started.
Part 3. Now look at Part 3. You will hear two students, Olivia and Noah, discussing their presentation on vertical farming with their tutor, Dr. Sinclair. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Okay, Olivia, Noah, let's talk about your presentation plan on vertical farming. I've had a look at your outline. How are you feeling about it?
We're feeling more confident now. Initially, our biggest challenge was that the topic was too broad. There's so much to talk about, from the technology to the economics.
Yes, we had trouble narrowing it down. But we think we have a clear structure now. For the introduction, we thought we'd start with a definition.
A definition is a bit dry. Why not make it more engaging? I suggest you use a specific case study to introduce the topic. Talk about an actual vertical farm in Singapore or New York, for example.
A case study, that's a much better idea. We'll do that. Then, for the section on the technology, we're worried it's a bit complex for the audience.
I agree. You go into a lot of detail about hydroponics and LED lighting.
My advice would be to simplify the technical language. Focus on the what and why, not the how.
Okay, we'll simplify that section. Next is economic viability. We have some figures, but they are from a few years ago.
That's a fast-moving field. You'll definitely need to add more up-to-date statistics to make that section credible.
Right. More recent data. For the environmental impact section, we want to show the pros and cons.
We think the best way to do that clearly would be to create a comparison table, showing vertical farming on one side and traditional farming on the other, across different measures like water use and land use.
An excellent idea. A visual comparison is very effective. And for your conclusion?
We want to summarize the main points, obviously. But we want to leave the audience with something memorable.
So we decided to focus on a key takeaway message about the potential role of vertical farming in future food security.
Good. A strong final thought is crucial. Now, in your own research, what did you find to be the single biggest plus point?
For me, it was the efficiency. But Dr. Sinclair, you mentioned in a lecture that the most significant advantage is its incredibly reduced need for water compared to conventional agriculture.
Precisely. In a world facing water shortages, that is its most powerful selling point. And on the flip side, what's the main economic hurdle?
Well, from what we've read, it's definitely the high initial startup costs. The technology and the buildings require a huge investment before you can even plant a single seed.
Correct. That's the main barrier to widespread adoption, and I see your plan for the environmental impact section is to contrast it with traditional methods.
Yes, as we said, we plan to compare it directly to traditional agriculture. We think that's the most effective way to show its benefits.
I agree. So you have a solid plan now. What's your immediate next step?
Well, now that we have a clear structure and have identified the gaps, I think we need to divide the remaining research tasks between us, so we're not duplicating work.
A very sensible plan. Go and do that, and we'll meet again next week. Well done.
Part 4. Now look at Part 4. You will hear a university lecture about the environmental concept of rewilding. You will now have some time to look at the questions.
Good morning. In today's lecture, we're going to explore a radical and increasingly influential idea in environmental science: rewilding. So what is it? Put simply, rewilding is a new approach to conservation that is gaining momentum across the globe. It represents a significant shift away from the traditional model of conservation, which tends to focus on the protection of single species in isolated nature reserves. Rewilding, by contrast, is more ambitious. Its core aim is to restore entire ecosystems by allowing natural processes to take over once more. The idea is to repair damaged ecosystems and reconnect fragmented habitats, creating large-scale, self-sustaining wildernesses. A central concept in rewilding is the, quote, trophic cascade. This refers to the powerful, cascading effect that a top predator can have on all the lower levels of an ecosystem. By reintroducing a so-called keystone species, often an apex predator that has been missing from the environment for a long time, you can trigger a chain reaction that restores the entire system to health. The most famous and compelling example of this in action is the reintroduction of gray wolves to Yellowstone National Park in the United States in 1995. Wolves had been absent from the park for 70 years. Their return had remarkable unforeseen consequences. They preyed on the large elk population, which had overgrazed the park. With fewer elk, vegetation like willow and aspen trees began to recover along the riverbanks. This in turn stabilized the riverbanks and led to an increase in songbirds. The revived trees also provided food and materials for beavers, whose dams created new wetland habitats for otters and fish. Incredibly, the wolves even changed the physical geography of the park. With more stable banks, the very course of the rivers became more fixed and less meandering. The benefits of rewilding are numerous. As seen in Yellowstone, it can dramatically increase biodiversity. It can also enhance, quote, ecosystem services, the benefits that humans get from nature. Healthy, rewilded landscapes are better at cleaning water, preventing floods, and crucially, at carbon storage, making it a powerful tool in the fight against climate change. However, rewilding is not without its challenges. The reintroduction of large predators can understandably lead to conflict with local communities, particularly with farmers who may fear for their livestock. This highlights the need for careful planning and engagement with local people to ensure they also see the benefits. Furthermore, these are not quick fixes. Successful rewilding projects require a long-term commitment, often spanning decades, and continuous scientific monitoring to track the changes. In conclusion, rewilding represents a fundamental and exciting philosophical shift. It is about moving away from a mindset of human management and control, towards one of restoration and trust in nature's own ability to heal. It's a hopeful vision for a wilder, more resilient future.
And pencils down. You've survived another IELTS listening marathon. If your brain feels like it just ran a mental obstacle course, congratulations. That means you're doing it right. Want to torture yourself with more tests? We mean enhance your skills? Head to Spinta.org. That's Spinta.org, where we've got reading, writing, speaking practice, and vocabulary games that are actually fun. Yes, fun and IELTS in the same sentence. We're rebels like that. Thanks for listening with Spinta. Now go treat yourself to something nice. You've earned it. Spinta, push forward. Achieve more.